Hello once again, and welcome to this week's edition of It's Just My Opinion. Now, I said last week I would have a cutoff date that I intended to stick to, but there have been an overwhelming amount of requests for stuff that came out last year, and let's face it, people are watching this only to see if their requests were finally answered. So, rather than let a bunch of you sit around making the same requests every damn week, I figure I'll get some of them out of the way in 2 sentences or less for each. I'm not going to be doing this every week, so try and stick to more recent releases for the comments here on in. Alright, here we go.
Van Canto!
I do not consider this a metal album since there are no instruments to be found anywhere. However, I do think that it's something every metal fan should listen to at least once. The album is not as memorable as their last efforts, but the album opener, If I Die in Battle, and their cover of Sabaton's Primo Victoria should not be missed.
Hailstorm!
I've been a fan of theirs for a few years now, and this is definitely my favorite album by them. They really went out of their way to turn a gimmick into a great album with some awesome guitar parts and some memorable lyrics. Also, their cover of the Wurzels' I Am a Cider Drinker and Lazy Town's You Are a Pirate, they're pretty hysterical.
Amon Amarth!
While it was all around a good album, it just didn't leave as much of an impact on me as much as With Odin on Our Side or Twilight of the Thunder God did. It's still everything we'd expect from Amon Amarth, it's just not as memorable.
Mastodon!
While I thought it was definitely a heavier album than Crack the Sky, I don't think it was as progressive, which may have hurt them a little bit this time around. While it's enjoyable and pretty consistent, it's not nearly as engaging as their previous stuff. But then again, that's probably just because I think Blood and Thunder is their best song, as basic as it is.
Cruation!
I like it. I love folk metal, and I haven't seen enough Irish-based bands keeping up the heavy folk sound, so this was really good to hear. Is this considered black metal? I guess that shows how much I actually listen to this stuff. But it's very good, and I'm definitely going to have to check out more of it. So now on to the bands I actually planned on listening to this week, starting with Bleeding Through. Bleeding Through was always one of those bands like Dillinger Escape Plan and Deftones, where even though everyone told me they were great, I could just never get into them. The only thing I knew about this band is that Marta is hot. She is unfortunately also taken. Dude, you're already the lead guitarist of Machine Head. Save some good fortune for the rest of us. But really, I've never gotten into them.
Still here, still ruin your life. I'm not to save you. Don't confide in me. You will be mine. I'm the leader of them. Set you on a path where you'll destroy.
I should really get into them. This is a damn good album. The harmonic parts from Marta really add some depth to what would otherwise be considered by me, in all honesty, a fairly generic metalcore band. I like their symphonic sounds a lot more than their heavy basic sections, but it's probably because I'm just so easily impressed by that sort of stuff. But all in all, the album is really entertaining and definitely worth a listen. Next up is Mouth of the Serpent. This was recommended to me by a friend, so I'll give it a shot. After all, she did do some camera work for some of my videos. Here's my take on this. There's way too many things going on at once for me to enjoy it. I think that's always been my complaint with bands like this, although there's a lot of sections I really enjoy, like the solos and some of the lead breaks. As a whole, I feel it to be too jumbled and hard to enjoy. I like bands that I can put on any time and listen to without a problem, and I don't think I can do that with this one. I don't want to count time signatures and look for things to like when I rock out. I want to bang my head and occasionally punch someone with a haircut that's different than mine. I can't say it's bad because it's not my style of music, but I just didn't like it. But that's not to say you can't. Check it out if you're into that sort of thing. Well, I already broke one rule by going past my cutoff date, so why not bend another one? The last album I'm reviewing this week is Van Halen. Now, I know a lot of people don't consider Van Halen heavy metal, but the way I look at it, Eddie Van Halen basically reinvented how to play electric guitar and paved the way for a lot of heavy metal musicians to take the stage. And the band as a whole was really instrumental in creating the fun rock and roll stage show that's so well known today. So, you know, it's only fair I give this band a fair chance on my show to shine.
Swap meet Sally, trim stamp cat, housewife to mom shell in the time it took to get that new tattoo.
I'm sorry, this has to be said. This is one of the most boring things I've heard so far this year. Not just the video, but just the song itself. And I'm sorry to report, but a lot of the album is like this. I'm saying this as a huge fan of Van Halen. Every lyric is uninspired, every riff is unoriginal, and most of them that are faster paced seem to be blatantly ripping off Hot for Teacher. The solos are really what's keeping this whole thing together, but even there you can tell Eddie's nowhere near as into it as he used to be. I think the worst part of this is probably David Lee Roth, who either seems so bored out of his mind that he can't concentrate, or that he just can't reach certain notes anymore, so he doesn't try to do anything. Even his yells don't sound like he was even listening to the music as he was recording the vocals. As Is has the potential to be a good song, but they have to do the Van Halen thing of stopping the song to talk over the beat. But in this one, it stops the momentum of the song completely rather than appears like they're having fun with it. I don't know whether that section about David Lee Roth having his headphones too low is supposed to be funny or not, but all I kept thinking of was that Dave Chappelle skit. I have to admit, some songs like Chinatown aren't bad, but it's a perfect example of everything I said. Eddie is good, David is bored, and the bass lines are non-existent. Mostly, I guess, because Eddie didn't want Wolfie to look too bad. In my honest opinion, skip this one. Listen to their first one instead, because Ice Cream Man kicks ass. That's it for this week. As always, leave a comment telling me what you want to hear me bitch about next week. And if you don't like what I'm saying, it's just my opinion.